Hey everyone, get ready for a puzzle that seems to completely break the laws of motion. Seriously, it's a real mind-bender that's going to challenge what you think you know about how things move. And it all starts with something as simple as a train.
So let's jump right in. Imagine a train, right? It's chugging along the tracks, moving forward. The engine, the cars, the wheels, everything is going in one direction. But here's the big question. What if I told you that a part of that very same train is, for a split second, actually moving backward?
I know. Your first reaction is probably, no way, that's just impossible. It feels like it completely defies logic, right? And honestly, you're not wrong. It is totally counterintuitive. But stick with me on this, because you're about to see how reality can be a whole lot weirder than we think.
Now, instead of just getting stuck in a debate about it, let's actually prove it. And the best part? You don't need some fancy physics lab. All you need are a couple of things you've probably got lying around the house. We're going to see this so-called impossible idea happen right before our eyes.
Okay, so here's what you need to grab. Just a coin, a single match, and a tiny bit of plastine or even some sticky tack. What you're going to do is stick that match onto the face of the coin, but make sure the head of the match sticks out just a little bit past the coin's edge. Then, just stand the whole thing up on a flat ruler. That's it. Super simple.
All right, you ready? Here comes the moment of truth. Go ahead and roll the coin forward along the ruler, but here's the key. Don't watch the coin itself. Keep your eyes locked onto the very tip of that match. Just focus on what that little red tip does as the coin goes around.
Whoa, did you see that? As the coin rolls forward, for just a tiny instant when the match is at the very bottom of its spin, the tip actually moves backward. The part of the coin touching the ruler is moving forward, sure, but that little piece sticking out underneath does the complete opposite. How wild is that?
So, what in the world does this cool little party trick have to do with a massive train? Well, it turns out, everything. This tiny experiment is a perfect little model of exactly what's happening on a train wheel, every single second. So let's scale this idea up. The comparison here is just perfect. In our little test, the coin, well, that's the train wheel. The ruler it's rolling on, that's the railroad track. And that little piece of the match that was sticking out, that represents a super important but often overlooked part of a real train wheel, the flange.
So, what is a wheel flange? It's that lip, that protruding rim you see on the inside of a train wheel. You've definitely seen it, but you probably never really thought about it. Its main job is pretty important. It keeps the train from sliding right off the rails. But it's also the secret behind our entire puzzle. The flange is the match on the train's coin.
And this is just a brilliant example of how a simple little observation can totally flip our assumptions upside down. We look at a train and we just see one big uniform motion. Everything's going forward. But when you look really closely, the reality is so much more complex and frankly, a lot more interesting.
Now you're probably asking, okay, if this is really happening, how come we never ever see it? And that's a great question. It's because this backward movement is unbelievably quick. It lasts for just a tiny, almost immeasurable fraction of a second each time the wheel turns. It's there, but it's just way too fast for our eyes to catch unless we know exactly what we're looking for.
This brings us to the big takeaway. And I want to read this quote because it just sums everything up so perfectly. It says, "There is, despite all our habitual notions, a backward motion in a moving train. It's just a fact of physics, hiding right there in plain sight."
So let's quickly recap what we've learned. First, you don't need a $1 million lab to uncover some really deep truths about the universe. Second, yes, the flange at the bottom of a train's wheel is, for a split second, actually moving backward. And maybe the most important lesson of all is that what we think is true based on our gut feeling, well, it isn't always the whole story.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to chew on. If something as ordinary as a train has this secret hidden motion, what else are we missing? What other everyday things around us are moving in these incredibly complex, beautiful ways that we've just never bothered to notice? It makes you want to look a little closer at the world, doesn't it?